for joining us. Welcome to the first official episode of Encouraging Teens in the Music Scene.
Woo!
My name is Joy.
And my name is Bea. And for our first guest today, we are stoked to have Femi speaking on staying inspired and motivated as you go through your musical journey. And okay, first of all, I just gotta say, Femi has inspired me so super duper much and has been one of the best mentors ever. So, we will let him speak. Welcome, Femi. Thank you for being here.
What's up? I'm happy to be doing this. Do you know what I'm saying? Normally, this is the kind of thing that I love doing the most out of everything in my crazy life. I like hanging out with young people that I see myself in and just catching a vibe musically. But I don't get to do this often because I'm normally always touring. So then this is like the perfect opportunity to hang out over the internet. Do you know what I'm saying?
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
This is so great.
Yeah, we're so honored. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, honestly.
Oh, I've got you. This is my energy. This is what I'm about. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Maybe just to start out the podcast, you could tell us a little bit about like your music journey and what you've done.
Okay, cool. So I guess my music journey started when I was about 4 years old, when I first started playing the drums. I was playing in church from about 4 till 11, playing in church. And when I was about 11 or 12, I went to secondary school. I guess you guys would call it high school. And that's where I met my drum teacher, Tim Giles. And he started to teach me to play jazz music. So then that's when I started to learn music, but fall in love with it in a different kind of way. Fast forward a few years, went to music college, Trinity School of Music in London. And then from there, reverse a little bit. When I was about 17 years old, I started a band called Ezra Collective. And we were just working hard on that. Yes. So working hard on Ezra Collective, working hard on the London jazz scene, you know. Fast forward a little bit, met a really cool friend called Georgia Smith, and we started touring with her. First show I did with Georgia was in Manchester. There was about 50 people watching. And the last show that I did with Georgia was, oh my gosh, what was the last gig I did with her? Paris. Dubai. And there must have been like maybe 10,000, 20,000 people watching. So that's where we're at right now. And then what I would have been doing, if not for the COVID situation, is I would have been on a world tour with Ezra. So I would have just finished Cape Town Jazz Festival and Coachella. I think I'll be back in America right now. I feel like Pitchfork Festival, Chicago. I would have been making my way through the American festivals now, and then I think back to Europe. But, you know, this is the new vibe. But I'm glad that I get to spend today with you guys, you know what I'm saying? So that's a little bit of the journey.
A little bit. That was mind-blowing.
I don't know if you could see our faces and just how mind-blown we were as you were saying that whole thing.
One day you guys are going to have a similar story to me, and I'll be the one blown away like, whoa,
yes.
Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes. Hopefully from your mouth to God's ears, and it happens. We got this.
Yes, yeah. Joy.
So now to staying inspired, because that was a little bit about your journey. So for some of the teen musicians who are really just trying to break into the industry, and can you like talk a little bit about the start, like the very beginning of when you got into it and how you got through that?
Yeah, so I guess if we talk about my stepping into the industry, I would say that started when I was 18 years old, because when I was 18, I moved out of my parents' house and I was able to live closer to where I was studying for university. And the way it started for me was I was going to every jam session. I was going to every rehearsal I could get into. I was watching every show that I could see. I'm talking one of the tricks, I had no money. So what I would do, this is a great bit of advice I'm about to give you. This is real. This is a gem. If I didn't have money for like a concert, but I really wanted to watch it, I would turn up at like 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. when the building wasn't really functioning, because the building's open, but it's not a concert yet.
Mhm.
And I would just hide in the main room all day until the gig started. I did that for Ahmed Jamal. This is all when I was like 17, 18 years old. Now I buy a ticket. But that was my vibe before. But yeah, so that's essentially the first break, if you like, was going to all of the jam sessions and just quote unquote meeting the entire industry, if you like.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it started for me.
That's awesome. I really like that advice. That's really good advice.
Don't worry about that for Ezra.
Hey, you guys hear that?
Yeah. Our podcast gets people to hook up. So you were saying how you started out just listening to a lot of other musicians and going to their shows. Can you talk about how listening to different genres and different styles might have inspired your personal playing?
Yeah, I think that's a cool question. I think I fell in love with music, the word, rather than falling in love with jazz or falling in love with Afrobeat. I just fell in love with music. And the reason, the main inspiration for me practicing all the time was because I just wanted to play music. I didn't want to be that musician that got a phone call from Stevie Wonder, but I'd spent all of my time practicing Charlie Parker. And I didn't want to be that musician that would get a phone call from Kanye West and I didn't know what I was doing because I spent all of my time only purely studying how to play brushes. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, I think with me, Duke Ellington, was it Duke? Yeah, Duke Ellington made a quote that he said there's two types of music, good music and bad music. And I like that because that's how I approached genres. I just good music. Do you know what I'm saying? And so that affected my playing style. And more so, I never had any type of. I used to call myself Femi the jazz drummer because I was tired of people assuming I was a gospel drummer because I didn't really like that. But more so, growing up, I realized I just was a musician. I was a musician. I loved music of all types. And so that kind of inspired the way I like to play.
I really like how you were saying it's just like you don't want to be a specific genre musician. You want to be a full-on musician. That's really good advice.
If you guys called me up and you were like, join my band, I want to play whatever kind of music it is. But if you're like, yeah, it's like a jazz fusion band and I spent all my time in bebop, I don't want to be like, oh, I can't really play that. I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm ready to go because I spent time learning jazz fusion as well as bebop. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, well-rounded.
Yeah. If we called you up and asked you to join our band, would you?
Only if I can play with Bea. I don't want to replace her. So if we can have two drummers, then we're good to go.
We're good.
If we only have one drummer, then I'm not playing. But if we could have two, then I'm playing.
We already have two bassists, so two drummers is good too.
It's 2020, 2-2. Let's go, man.
Exactly. So maybe you could touch on a little bit of like auditions or stuff like that. If you start to feel like self-doubt or you start to like you're hearing yourself playing and you're just not really like you're not exactly enjoying what you hear. Maybe you could talk about staying with it through those times.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the way that I approach this kind of thing, learn to love what you're good at and learn to love the journey of getting better what you're not very good at. If you have that mindset, it can't sound that whack because it's just you don't look at your height when you're 5 years old and just be like, I hate being this height. Because you're 5 years old, you're gonna grow. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like, and another mentality that I have with auditions, and I've had this quite a long time. The moment you wake up for an audition, so I've auditioned for rappers, for singers, for colleges. I guess I've done my grade exams, which feel a little bit like an audition. So I've done all types of auditions. The moment you wake up, that morning that you wake up and you know it's audition day, there is nothing you can do to improve your playing on that day. Mm-hmm. The way you woke up that morning is how you're going to sound. So just enjoy it. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember I did an audition for a music college in London, Guildhall School of Music. And I woke up, I was like, boy, if they're feeling the swing, they're feeling it. If they don't, they don't. I can't force them, you know, it's subjective. And they said to me, can you demonstrate some classical music? And I thought about it, classical music, Femi Colioso. And I just thought, I can't. Like, I don't know how to do that. I haven't learned it. I woke up like this. There's nothing I can do right now. So rather than have an awkward moment of struggling through a lie, I was just like to them, yo, sorry, man, I didn't really learn like that. I can't really do that right now. Maybe if I'm on a journey with you guys, I might learn to do it, but right now it's not happening. And I'm so grateful that I did that, because I left the audition feeling cool, because it was like, boy, I showed the best I could. And so that's kind of my audition. That whole energy in jazz music of listening to yourself and just being like, I'm so whack, I'm so whack. That for me is your insecurity taking place of what you should be championing. You should be dealing with that energy when you're practicing. You should not be dealing with that energy when you're auditioning or on the stage. When you're on stage or auditioning, there's nothing you can do to improve in that moment. Technically, anyway. I was practicing this morning and I just noticed one thing on my right hand, it was just sounding whack. I was like, right, this is the time to realize it doesn't sound good. This is the time to fix it. There's no point. If I play something on stage and it sounds whack, I just won't play it again, because I'm not dealing with that energy right now. I'll deal with that when I'm practicing. So that's my vibe. And I always think with music, particularly music of Black origin, so I'm talking jazz, I'm talking R&B, Afrobeat, reggae, ska, rock and roll. Those types of music for me are written from a place of soul and heart, and you will not be able to play it if you're crippling yourself with self-doubt. So whether you're auditioning or on stage, you have to find a way of enjoying it, or else you're just going to sound whack, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were earlier when you were saying all of your experiences, you listed all of the different tours and different gigs that you've been doing, and I'm sure you've been like recording stuff and doing rehearsals and things like that. How do you stay motivated and keep up with all of that? Because I'm sure that at times you're just tired, you want to take a nap, you want to go to sleep. How do you keep up with that?
That's a great question. Actually, it's great talking to two people in America. There's something about America. Every morning I wake up in America, I don't particularly want to play the show. I genuinely find it exhausting being there in a weird kind of way. I find it exhausting because for a Londoner, it is just so big, the amount of traveling that you have to do on an American tour. You can wake up in New York and you might have a gig in San Francisco that same day.
Oh, no.
Like, it's exhausting. With a Georgia gig, you could be on the tour bus for, you know, a 30-hour drive, and then you get up, and then not really knowing the country that well, particularly when I started touring, just found it like exhausting. But what really sparked my motivation, for me anyway, comes from channeling why I do this. You know, for me, I feel like my gift is a gift from God. And if you like, whether I'm playing at church or Georgia or Ezra or whatever I'm doing, for me, I'm channeling that energy, and it's almost like a way of worshiping. So that for me is one of the mindsets I have to get myself into. And then another mindset is I've grown up on each one, teach one, spread good vibes kind of energy. So I'll go through my Instagram when I'm not feeling motivated, and I will, without doubt, find a 19-year-old boy that can't afford a ticket. Perfect. I'll give you my ticket. And I'll find a 16-year-old girl that's trying to learn drums, and I'll be like, perfect. Come and have a drum lesson at Soundcheck. And they always think it's me doing them a favor. That's how you felt, Bayer. You felt like I was helping you out. But really, spending that time with you, practicing together, you're so excited by my drum kit, and I've been staring at that drum kit for a whole month. your excitement helped me look at it through your eyes, and then I'm excited about this drum kit, and then suddenly I'm really excited about the gig, and before you know it, I'm motivated, I'm good to go, let's play the drums. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like that for me is, you have to think about the core reasons of why you do something,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to realign yourself with that. If all I'm thinking about is how much am I getting paid tonight, how many people are there, these are all things I didn't grow up caring about. I didn't grow up caring about, if someone said to me, you know, would you love to drum for Beyonce, I wouldn't say to them, but how much am I gonna get paid? I wouldn't even care. I'll do it for free if I could. Do you know what I mean? And then, so you think, why would I want to drum for Beyonce? And then you're thinking, I love the music. I love her. Imagine how many people are going to know that I play for Beyonce. Imagine how many people I can help. That's kind of my vibe with it. That's how I stay motivated anyway.
Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at like, you know how there's like the rock star life, what everybody thinks of you when you're touring and stuff that like that, and there's like your actual life because you're still just a person. How do you have any like small ways that you kind of keep yourself grounded or like keep yourself remembering that even though I am going on all these tours and doing all this stuff, there still is a reason I'm doing it and I don't want to lose myself in it?
Yeah, for me, the way I stay grounded is it's all a game of priorities.
Mm-hmm.
As much as it might look like I love the Ezra Collective, because I really do, it is not the main priority in my life. And so when I come home, my priorities are lined up very perfectly. My priorities, like, right, I'm getting back into church and back into my calling in that way. My priority is speaking to family. Your mum will never look at you and see a superstar. She's just going to look at you and see the kid that she gave birth to and now is 25. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think what causes people to lose their grounding is the more they neglect that side of their life. It's very easy for me to, all I have to do is go through my messages and I can feel on top of the world because there's all these messages telling you that you're great or whatever. And if you let that feed you constantly, but you don't let the wisdom and advice from people that actually know you as a person influence your mindset, then you'll flop, man. It's not about, you know, doing the Enemy or Rolling Stones or Billboard interviews all the time. It's about linking up with you two. This is real life. That's not really real life. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the only way you can recognize the difference between real life and rockstar life is if your priorities are correct. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you think your priority for Wednesday, you know, if I think my priority next week is to do a show in front of 30,000 people, make loads of money and have them all screaming my name, then my priorities have switched from what it was originally. If my main priority is to be grateful and thankful for what I have, make sure I'm inspiring people, make sure I'm being inspired, then that gig with 30,000 people screaming your name just becomes part of the job, and you enjoy it for what it's great for, but you don't bow down to what it can be negative for it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how I see it anyway.
So I remember one of the conversations we've had. You were talking about the moments at home and at church and helping others that you've had that are outside experiences that have helped you um, with your music. And are there other outside experiences that you would talk about that have kept you motivated and inspired, like away from music?
Yeah. I lead a youth group here in London, and that to me, it inspires me massively. There's about 200 kids. How old are you guys?
16.
I'm 17.
16. Yeah, they're your age. Some a bit older, some a bit younger, but secondary school age. They inspire me musically without saying anything musical. Do you know what I'm saying? I'll see one of my boys in the youth group, and that energy and that passion and that love for life will inspire. I'll write a song, you know, about one of them. A lot of the songs that are written for Ezra and for other people have been directly inspired by them. I think I wrote, even though I wrote Chris and Jane about my grandparents, I'm pretty certain I wrote it when I was with my youth group. It was their energy that wrote that song for me. Do you know what I'm saying? And then the story of it was about my grandparents and stuff. So there's a lot of outside sources that influence my music. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, and I think music is life. Do you know what I'm saying? You can't segregate the two. I think when you separate them, you hear it in the music and you'll see it in the life. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's like you can't party in Brazil and not hear that when you're writing, if you're a composer anyway. But I can't write music and ignore life experiences, even if I'm writing for something not particularly cool, like writing music for an advert. Yeah, whatever. I'm not particularly inspired by this drink I'm writing about, but I am inspired about, I went shopping and I saw like an argument and the vibe of the argument. I'm writing about that right now. Do you hear what I'm saying? So yeah, that's definitely how I see it anyway.
So how did you get started writing music? Or when? When did you start writing music?
I've been writing music. I wrote a song when I was about 5 or 6 years old. And I didn't think of it as like I'm writing music. I just thought of it as like I'm gonna make this rhythm on my keyboard, and I more saw it as I want to entertain my parents. I know I need to write a song. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think that's how it began anyway. And then fast forward a bit, I started writing music. Like, I think the thing about composing, and I don't really like the word composing music or the phrase composing music, because I think it adds a seriousness to it that it doesn't really need. I just kind of see it as ideas in your head on paper or on voice note. Do you know what I'm saying? The more you make it serious, the more you feel like, right, today is a composing day. No, forget that. You're walking to the bus and you hear a bass line in your head, you sing it into your phone. That's a composition. That's writing music. That's how I see it. Do you know what I'm saying? So I've been doing that. Do you know what I mean? Having an idea, humming it, having an idea, singing it, having an idea, writing it. I've been doing that for as long as I can remember. And then sometimes I listen back and I'm like, whatever. Sometimes I listen back and I'm like, yo, that's a vibe. Imagine if I added another bass line to it. Imagine if I actually added a couple chords. Imagine if I added a bit of trumpet and saxophone. Oh, snap, it's a song. All right, whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, that's kind of how I see it. I think the problem with music education sometimes is they overcomplicate this process of writing music. Do you know what I mean? They be talking about make sure you got your 2-5-1 harmony in it and whatever, bruv. Just write anything, blood. Like, just write anything. If you can play an instrument, you can write music because the skills are very, very similar. It's just sped up. Do you know what I'm saying? If you can improvise, you're writing music. It's just the process of composing sped up massively. So that's how I see it. Yes, fair enough. If you're gonna score the new Batman film, you're probably gonna need a little bit more than a voice note that you've sung into your phone. But that voice note you sing into your phone might be the beginning of the whole piece. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I approach writing music.
Yeah, I like that you said, by just things you hear and ideas you get. Because for me, it's been like weird because like I'm just trying to learn theory and stuff, but I gotta remember it's not all theory, right? Like you said, you don't have to know all that to write music. It helps, it does, and it's good to know. But that's just got me stuck. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know all the theory. How am I supposed to write?
That's amazing that you've said that. What I personally do, and by the way, let me just say, a lot of these thoughts are just my thoughts. They're not, some people disagree and I would agree with them disagreeing. But just from the way that I see it, it's like, all right, cool. I try and separate my mind into two places. What I can do, what I need to learn. Can't do is a negative way of looking at it. What I can do, what I need to learn. And the foot that I put forward is dependent on the scenario I'm in. If I'm writing a song, it is not about what I don't know. It's about what I know. I know how to make a bass line and a drum beat. Cool, that's all you need for now. Can't write chords, don't worry about that. Drum beats and bass lines, that's cool. That's all you need. And then what I can't do when I'm practicing, I work on that. So then rather than confuse the two things together, because that's the moment when you start to think, I can't write music. You can, you just need to learn some stuff and champion the stuff you can do. So this is why if I just decided right now, I'm going to sit down and write some Indian classical music, I'm going to have a tough time. I don't know how to do that. That's something I need to learn to do. Mm-hmm. But if I just sat down and tried to write some Indian classical music for a film set with that vibe, I'm going to sit there and think I can't write music. That's not true. I've got bare albums that I've written. I'm just using the wrong part of my brain. I'm using the wrong energy to. So it's all about what you can do and what I need to learn. And when you confuse the two, that's when you get moments like, I'm trying to write music, but I don't know enough about theory. Or forget the theory then, just write music that you do know enough about. If you're thinking, I can't match this note with this chord, then don't worry about the chord. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's why Ezra's songs don't have no chords in them. No chord changes anyway. We stay on one key until we know what we're doing anyway. But yeah, that's my energy with it. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah, what you can do and what you need to learn.
How do you motivate yourself to focus on like the what you can't learn part, like going into practice and stuff like that? How do you stay motivated to keep practicing?
Yeah, fall in love with the end product. Mm-hmm. Do you hear what I'm saying? Like, something that I need to learn is how to use logic better. That's something I'm practicing a lot right now. I don't love learning logic. However, I love the idea of writing, do you know what I mean, Erykah Badu's next record on logic. I love the idea of that. And because I love that idea so much, I'm going to channel that energy into the journey. Do you hear what I'm saying? No one loves being on a plane. Well, I don't know. Let me say, I do not love being on planes. I do not love flying. You know, whatever. I used to be mad excited about it. Then it got to like 2 a week. And now I don't love like flying anymore. However, I love being in San Francisco. I can see Bea, I can play the drums, I can, do you know what I mean? I can hang out with her parents. I love being there. I don't love the journey, but because I love being there so much, I learn to love the journey. So when you wake up going to the airport, you're not excited to be in the airport and get on the plane and get off and then wait for a cab and they've lost your bag. I'm not excited about that. But I'm so excited about the destination. I fall in love with the journey. And that's how I see practicing. This is where you can get caught out a little bit, especially as a student, because if you're told what you need to love, but you don't actually love it, it's very hard to make the journey something you love. Mm-hmm. So if you're told you need to learn how to use brushes, but you don't love brushes, Elvin plays the brushes, it's just kind of yeah, whatever. If you don't love it, it's going to be hard to love the journey and the process. So then the other thing that you have to think about is, how do I learn to love things? And you just have to expose yourself to the greatness of it. Whether that's asking teachers, that's where teachers are great for. Because if a kid comes up to me and says, yo, I want to learn how to play the Ezra Collective tunes. And then I say to him or her, all right, sick. Let's learn some jazz. And then they say, I don't love jazz. Right there, my job is to make them understand why we love jazz, because then jazz contributes to Ezra and then we can love the whole journey. So yeah, that's how I see it. There are things that I can't do on the drums. And the reason being is because I don't love the destination. I'm not actually mad about double bass playing. Like, not double bass. I'm not mad about double bass pedals. I don't particularly love it yet. If I fell in love with it, I would start practicing it. Until that moment, I'm not going to force it. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what led you to having that mindset of loving the journey?
I think that mindset came from loving. I think it comes from loving who you are, and learning to love the things you can do and learning to love the things that you can't do. Because when you've got a very good appreciation of that, you don't sit down at your instrument and think, I'm so whack. You sit down at your instrument and think, boy, I've actually improved, you know. Am I where I want to be? Not yet, but yo, if you said to me 10 years ago, Femi, this is where you're going to be at on the 13th of May 2020, 10 years ago, I would have been like, all right, respect. You've done all right. You've had a good innings. So I think when you learn to love yourself, you learn to love the process of getting better. If you get insecure and start to hate yourself, the process becomes a whole lot more difficult. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's how I approached it. I'm very much on the positive end of thinking in every way. I always look at rather than think about why I hated the gig, I'll try and think about the one moment I was actually all right. Do you know what I'm saying? You fluffed that tune, and that tune, but yo, when Blue Lights came on Fems, you actually sounded all right. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's kind of how I feel about it anyway.
How do you think you've learned, you know how some musicians will like take their insecurities and use those as like, okay, this is something I need to practice more. Where do you think is like the balance between I shouldn't really be feeling insecure about that because it's just who I am versus like, oh, I can work on that and become better?
Yeah, I think the balance comes from when you allow those thoughts to be in your mind. If you're watching a gig and all you're thinking is the bass player is better than me, you're letting your insecurities and your ego cloud the moment of beauty that you're missing out on. Mm-hmm. However, if you go into the practice room with, wow, that bass player yesterday, she was so amazing. What was so great about her? Oh yeah, she had really great time. Right. I would love to be in that place. Let me work on my time. When you're on stage, forget about that because you need to enjoy the moment. Mm-hmm. And this is why you play with good people, because if you play with people that are going to torment you and cuss you and make you feel bad, you will never play well with them. Contrary to some jazz musicians think like this mean energy helps people. It doesn't help people. I'll fight anyone about that. So it's just like, it's all about how you separate the moments that you're in. There's a quote from Charlie Parker, and he said something like, practice, 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 practice until you can't practice anymore, and then get on the bandstand and forget all about it. That's how I think about it. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying? So, you know, if you're crying and beating yourself up in the practice room, you're not practicing. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you're appreciating, you know, the journey and the patience involved, then you're starting to practice. You know what I'm saying? I was practicing this morning. I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I'm out here trying to do really fast doubles with my right hand and then flick and switch it to my left hand. I noticed my left hand doubles are far better because I'm more used to using the snare drum with my left hand than my right hand doubles. My right hand doubles were just not sitting in the swing that I wanted it. Mm-hmm. If I start beating myself up, Femi, you're whack, you can't play, no one likes you, everyone hates you, you're playing rubbish. That moment that happens to my mind, the practice is done. It's all about my ego after that. But it was more like, all right, Femi, you're on a journey with this right hand. Let's enjoy it and embrace it because it's going to take a few hours. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Did I get there at the end of the practice session? Nah, man, it still sounds whack, but we go again tomorrow and the day after and the day after until I go on stage and I'm laughing and dancing. I'm closing my eyes, doing these doubles. I'm looking at my friends. Hey, look at my doubles. Do you hear what I'm saying? That's how I think about it.
Yeah. That's a very good way to think about it.
Yeah, man. It's easier to think like this when you've gone through the brutality of music education and you've come out the other side. In the middle of music education, my thoughts weren't at this place. However, I didn't really have anyone tell me this. Mm-hmm. So hopefully you can approach your practicing in this kind of way. It's never a self-doubt, self-beating up thing. Just good vibes, fam. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what we feel when we hear you play.
Do you know why you feel that though? Because I play things I know how to play. If I sat there on stage and tried to play things I can't do because I'm on a journey to learn them, you wouldn't feel that way. Do you hear what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Which is why it's so important to do two things. Play with your friends and play your own music. Mm-hmm. No matter where you are in standard, you'll be able to play your own songs because they're yours. Even if you make a mistake, it's my song. It's not a mistake anymore. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's my vibe anyway.
Yeah. So you know how a lot of, especially I feel like teenage musicians or people who are kind of in education or college and stuff like that, they'll look at the music industry as like a competition because they're always putting like they're always put against each other. Who's going to be the best? Who's going to get the show? How do you think that? What would you say to people who see the entire industry as like a competition?
I would say that if they see the entire industry as a competition, then they are seeing the entire industry both correctly and incorrectly.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be ignorant for me to say that there is no competitive edge to it. Georgia only has one drummer. I needed that. I got it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the problem with the word competitive is it naturally has negative connotations because it's so often misused by way of this, queue up at the jam session, the best drummer gets the gig. That isn't the most positive way of approaching playing music with other people because you're thinking about yourself, not the music, not the greater good. But at the same time, I definitely have a competitive nature, but I just try and channel that into my practice. At the same time, there's a drummer called Moses Boyd who he lives down there. And I love him. Mentor, big brother, everything. However, if we're at a jazz festival and he's going before me or I'm going before him, I'm not trying to look whack in his presence. I want to look good. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, I am not competing with him on that stage. I'm not competing with him ever. However, when I'm practicing, I'm competing with myself to better myself. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's easier to run a marathon if you've got 1,000 other people running it with you, because that moment when you think I'm tired, I'm going to sit down, you look behind, there's 500 people in front of you, or behind you, and there's 500 people in front of you. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I think about it. But then by way of competition on the stage and in music, I think if competition in that sense often comes from a place of ego. And that competitive edge can often it can filter into your playing. That saxophonist that is on their 50th chorus on a blues, maybe all 50 choruses have been absolutely burning, or maybe they've got a competitive edge that has blinded them from the greater good of the music because you haven't even noticed that there's 4 other saxophone players that want to jump on this thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so that's defo how I see it anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Do you think it's like possible to turn that competition or that like competitive spirit into like a form of inspiration? Like, yes, I don't really want to compete with them, but I'm gonna take what they're playing and try and like get some inspiration from that.
Yeah, fam. If you watch an Ezra Collective gig, me and Joe have this in a big way. I'm pushing him. I want to hear the best solo he's ever played, and I'm gonna do everything I can to get that best solo out of him. I'm gonna throw a couple booby traps. I'm gonna, smash in response to him. I'm gonna accent some of the things he does. I'm gonna leave him alone when he needs to be left alone. I might just jump out for a bit and then crash back in. I'm competing with him to see the best that can come out of him. At the same time, when he finishes that burning piano solo, I'm not following it up with a dead thing on drums. I'm definitely coming back harder and harder. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's a good example of how competition can inspire you. But that can only come when you've got mutual respect and love for each other. Mm-hmm. I want to, if TJ's playing whack, I'm going to tell him, yo, fam, keep up. And the amount of times I've been playing mid Ezra gig and he will come over to the drums and just shout at me, bro, you moving like you're tired. Are you tired? I'll be like, no. He's like, well, let's go then. Do you know what I'm saying? And that is healthy, but that is difficult to get from a stranger. But it's a lot easier to get from people that you love and you practice with and you've moved with. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny that you say that, because whenever I hear Joe solo, you can totally hear you like pushing it, and you guys that's so cool.
Yeah, man. But you see, the reason that can happen is because I rate him so much. He rates me. We all rate each other. Mm-hmm. And so there is no ego on that stage. We're just pushing each other. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hmm. When you're like just getting started out and kind of playing with newer musicians, you've like just joined a band, how do you think that you can go about still pushing each other but like staying respectful?
I think you got to respect the journey it takes. Sometimes you will jump on a session and you'll just click in the moment and you'll just realize, yo, we were born to play together. But sometimes you jump in a session and it'd be like, all right, let's see what happens. And you know, you're gonna vibe and you're gonna vibe and you're gonna vibe. This tends to be why bands that have been together longer sound better than bands that have just started. It's not necessarily the ability of the musicians, but it's the chemistry that they built over the decades. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I think if you come in with humility, it's normally received well. You know,
Hmm.
you come in on an energy of, I'm going to give you as much space as you need, and I'm going to be with you as close as possible when you need. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I like to hear jazz. So I'm listening. The moment someone starts soloing and I'm drumming, I'm just trying to work out what is it that they want from me right now. Some soloists, they just need that swing. Ting, 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 ting. They just need me to swing. They're going to blaze all over it. Some soloists are leaving bare space, playing a phrase, leaving space. That space is mine. Let's go. Do you know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
both are valid. Both are sick. The way Elvin plays with like John Coltrane on Love Supreme, it's very much pull, push, like all of that. And then Ben and Sweet's Harry Edison, Better Go. That swing there, man doesn't even play a single drum fill. It's just and that's how you comp, man. You comp for the moment. Do you know what I'm saying? So by way of someone you've just met, you work out what they want in the moment. If you give it to them, then she's gonna look at you next week and be like, yeah, man, that was swinging. Let's go again. And then before you know it, you're gonna learn more and more about each other's playing. And then before you know it, it all sound like, do you know what I mean? James and Ife or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When you're going through the industry and you're meeting all those new people, how do you go about knowing who the correct people to take inspiration from are? Like, just personality wise, who are good people?
That's a great question. It's all about what you admire about them. It's all to do with what you admire about the individual. Some people are great musicians and that's it. And some people are great musicians and can pour into your life positively. You have to distinguish that with time, with patience, with conversation, just like meeting a new person. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's not every single drummer that you love that would necessarily be great at this moment. Do you know what I'm saying? Not saying I'm great, but I'm just saying there are some drummers that I've loved and it's like I've tried to get them to be something they're not. It's just a good drummer. Why do I think they can be my teacher? Why do I think they could be my mentor? They just sound sick at the drums. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Likewise, on the other opposite side, I've had enough drum teachers where it's like, I watch your gigs and I'm not like screaming your name after, like I'm not mad about your playing, but your heart and where you are and the knowledge you have, you've got so much to pour into me. You're the person I need to be with all the time. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I find it interesting when people get upset or offended when they meet their heroes and their heroes don't turn out to be their parents. Do you know what I mean? Like, why do you think this person's gonna love you and give you your time and take you out for dinner and teach you drums and whatever? They're just good at the drums. That's what they do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this comes from patience. You know what I mean? I can kind of tell when, and this is throughout the whole industry, if someone owns a very successful label, they are good at running a label. If you think they're going to care about you and look after you, why do you think that? That's when you have to start asking around and, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how I see it. So then every time I meet someone, I'm just taking it for what it is. Oh, this is cool. 15-year-old girl playing music. Cool. That's what it is right now. Later on, I might find out they're an incredible drummer and we're going to be friends forever. Or I might meet you and be like, yo, this is cool. Bass player I've looked up to my whole life. The conversation's not happening, but I'm going to still listen to all your records and watch all your gigs. That's all you're going to be to me. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's not about getting upset or offended when you meet, do you know what I mean? When you meet Stevie Wonder and he doesn't want to teach you the piano, that's maybe because he wrote you 20 of your favorite albums. Maybe that's enough. Do you know what I'm saying? Or maybe you get to meet Stevie Wonder and you find out he's not just a great musician, he's a lovely guy too. I've never met him, I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to storm in there thinking it's going to be big hug, we love each other, let's make 2 albums together. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that's the vibe with me anyway. That's how I see it.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Stevie Wonder. It's his birthday today.
Yeah, that's why I keep talking about him. I've been listening to him all day.
How, so you said, in the beginning of starting your journey, you would go to any rehearsals you could get into and lessons and jam sessions. How did you put your, put yourself in those, like, situations and positions to do it? Because sometimes you're nervous, sometimes you get nervous to, like, play at the jam session or go talk to people. So how did you, you know, start that and get to connect with other people?
I think I had a good relationship with the answer no. It was like if I'd asked someone for something and they said no, I wouldn't be upset. I would just see it as life. So for every rehearsal, I said, yo, can I sneak in and watch the rehearsal? For every 5 no's, I got 1 yes. I cared more about the yes than I did the no. And at the same time, with the jam session thing, I just thought I love the idea of playing in a jam session, and I love the idea of being good enough to play in any jam session I want. That is not going to happen by me watching YouTube videos and practicing at home. I need to do it. So I started to love the journey. And so I think about the first jam sessions I did, like maybe adult clubs when I was like 17 or 16, probably a bit younger, like Ronnie Scott's in London or whatever. And because I just was like, yo, whatever it sounds like, it sounds like. If he dies, he dies. Let's go. Do you know what I mean? And so I sat down and I'd play, and they'd be like, yo, this is vibing. But I'm glad I did that, and it wasn't the first time when I went Montreux Jazz Festival and I jumped up and the whole stage was filled with all my heroes. Do you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, if I hadn't have jumped up when I was 16, I would not have been in the position to jump up at that place when I was 20, whatever. So it's just a confidence thing. And if you can be with great musicians and they're not cool with you, but if you're around great people, they will help you discover what you're good at. If a kid jumps up on a jam session with me and I hear that they can't really swing, that's cool. We'll play a Latin thing instead. If that's what you're better at, do you know what I'm saying? That's why it's always been a big thing to me when they decide what song we're going to play. And they're like, yo, let's play, let's play Aerogin. Now, if you're a drummer and you don't know Aerogin, you're going to get in trouble because it's tricky. There's a little booby trap in there. Now, if you say to the person, yo, I don't really know Aerogin, there's 2 ways they can take that. They can leave you out to dry and lie to you and say, oh, you hear it. You won't hear it. Or they can be like, yo, all right, catch this. It's like 4 bars Latin and then we snap into swing, but careful with the B section because it's not conventional form. If they're like that, then they're trying to see you improve. If they ignore you and start the song, they're trying to see you hang out to dry. And if they say to you, you know what, yeah, let's not play Aerogin, let's play Olio. Yeah, Solly Rolling, same thing, whatever. You got Olio, haven't you? Yeah. 32 bar thing, no booby traps at the end. Let's go. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's how I see it. I always try and judge the situation. You want to see people improve, but you never ever want to embarrass people. Ever. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the straight. If I ever see that, like someone embarrassing someone on stage, I wouldn't be able to vibe with that type of a person. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'll do everything I can to make that person feel amazing. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I see it anyway.
I think it was Marcus Miller I was talking to that said almost that like exact same thing. And he was like, anytime I'm up on stage and I bring another bassist up with me, I never like go as crazy as I can if I don't think that they could like meet me up there because I don't want to show them up. I want us to play together.
Yeah, man. Yo, music doesn't sound good when people are embarrassed.
Yeah.
Music doesn't. This is why people. This is what causes things like American Idol, where this person's been singing in their room their whole life and thinks they're amazing. They go there, they feel embarrassed, they sound awful. I am convinced that maybe 5% of those people, not all of them, but maybe 5% actually sounded good in their house. They just couldn't deal with that moment. Do you hear what I'm saying? Maybe more than 5%. Let's go 30%. Some of them maybe were just slightly deluded about how they sounded, but some of them, the embarrassment, when I've been embarrassed on stage, I haven't sounded good. That's when I sound my worst, when someone's trying to make me look like a waste man. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Respect Marcus Miller.
Yeah, it's all about, the respect with people and keeping that good energy.
100%, man.
Do you have any other last advice you'd like to give to any of these young musicians? I mean, you've given us so much. I don't even. What is there left to say? You've given so much already.
Yo, man, I'll conclude it with this, fam. Love where you are now. Love the journey of where you're going to go. Don't look at my Instagram and feel disheartened. Feel excited because you're on the same journey as me. I once was in my room with 0 gigs, struggling to play along to this track, can't swing, can't play funk, can't play straight, and I still love the journey. And, I'm here now and I'm still loving the journey because it's not finished yet. So love where you are now and love the journey you're on. I'm not trying to see people beat themselves up. I'm trying to see people loving what they can do, and I'll help you do the next thing. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, man. It was beautiful to talk to both of you though.
Thank you so much. All of your advice was so good. Like, we're both taking notes here. We were trying to get every little bit down.
Well, at least it's recorded so we can watch it back again. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everyone else should have been taking notes. And if not, go back and listen to this.
And who knows, next time I'm on tour, whenever that is, we can do this in real life, innit? But except we'll all have our instruments with us. And depending on what date it is of the tour, I'll give you all my drumsticks if it's the last gig.
Yes, I love your drumsticks.
San Fran's normally one of the last shows, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So you get all my stuff, innit? Yeah. It's the problem is if it's like the second show of the tour, I've still got 30 to go. Then woo!
Ooh.
I haven't even got any to hand. Gave them all to you. But anyway, lovely to talk to you both. Lovely to meet you as well, Joy.
Yeah, it was so great meeting you too.
I can't wait till we get to play together.
Me neither.
Yeah, it'll be a vibe, man. It'll be a vibe.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you so much, Femi, for doing this for us. It was so amazing. If you liked what you heard, please follow us on Instagram at ETMS Podcast and stay up to date with all. First episode out. This was it. It was great.